told me to make a transfer to the girl's account. I made a transfer of 458,000 naira to the girl because she was claiming that I have to pay for everything that has been missing in her shop for the past years. So after making this transfer to the girl's account, they still collected the 80,000 I wanted to use and purchase the short knicker. Now, they now took me to an unknown destination. Under heavy torture, they opened my account. We spent like 1 hour before getting to that destination. It's inside the bush. So, on our getting to this destination, they now handcuffed me and started torturing me that I should transfer the whole money in my account. I told them that my limit for the day is 500,000 naira because they opened my account and they saw about 9 million naira there. So they now said I must do the 9 million or they will waste me. And I should choose between my life and the money in my account. That I should choose one out of the two. I told them that I choose my money, but my limit is 500,000. So after making all effort to withdraw the 9 million and it was not going. They tried 5 million, tried 2 million, it was not going. They now said I should do the 500K. So I did it the first day. They detained me there, handcuffed me there, inside that place. Nobody was there. It was a very lonely place. They handcuffed me there for another day. After 12 in the night, they said I should do another transfer. The third day again, they said I should do another transfer. So amounting, the whole total amount I did for them was 1.4 million naira, which I have my evidences. I have the receipt number. Of the name of the communication was one Mr. Cool Communication. It's a money point account. So now when after everything, after withdrawing the whole money in my account, they now told me that if they ever hear outside that I went to report this thing to the police or anywhere, that they are going to kill me. They now collected my phone, called my wife, and I started asking my wife where we live. My wife, out of because they have been looking for me for 4 good days. I wasn't to be found anywhere. So they even went to their headquarters and reported. They said there's nobody there. They also went to the police, all the police stations. They said there's nobody there. So nobody knows where I am. I was inside that bush for 4 days. So my wife even tracked my number with my phone because they offed my phone and I couldn't communicate with anybody. So now, after collecting this money from my account, what they now did for me, they made a video that has been circulating on the net now. They made a video on me, on duress, telling me that I should accept that I'm a criminal.
Typical Nigeria. Even some of you who are watching this broadcast this evening, you probably have how many hours remain? We still have like another 2 hours. Yeah, another 2 hours, 15 minutes before today ends. For those of us on that time zone, right? Nigeria will still happen to some people before this day finish, right? Nigeria will still happen to so many of you watching me right now, right? You are just like myself, potential victim of that contraption, and it can happen to you anytime. He is alive, living to tell his own story, right? And I pray he gets justice. You know what we call justice is that you see, there was a time he was under their under their captivity. They had all the power over him. They could have killed him and just dumped his body somewhere. So they had all the power. And he himself possibly was counting the hour. Is it going to be the next hour? Would I be killed this evening? Or maybe they will kill me in the morning. Or would they kill me after they collected all the money? Like, he's in that position. So the only justice here is just to ensure that those who put him in that position as well find themselves in a position that they will understand, kind of will feel threatened that they are going to lose their lives or their liberty. So that's the justice there. Anything else is just like, you're on your own. Nigeria can happen to any of us anytime. You know something? You don't even have to be in Nigeria before Nigeria happens to you. It's just that a lot of us probably just feels like there's nothing that will happen in that place that as long as they can give us a prize, but there's something that can happen that, man, can actually break you. That's how dangerous that place is. We all have our loved ones there, people we care about so much. They are going out every day like everyone else inside that place. They are the potential prey for these blood-sucking animals in different forms in that contraption. So none of us is really like immune from what is going on in that place. If you come to think of it, like for real, you know. So I hope the young man gets justice and possibly he has enough fortitude, right, to bear the old trauma. Because a lot of people are walking about with a bottle of a trauma caused by this contraption. And somehow, some of them even still blame themselves. What if I didn't go to that boutique and I went to the other one? Maybe that thing wouldn't have happened to me. What if I didn't go out at all today? You know what I mean? Like, what if? How could I have prevented this from happening to me? I could have, you know what I mean? I could have lost my life just like that. That's what Nigeria is. So to everybody living in Nigeria, even if you are a Ronoku, I still do feel for you, okay? Because you are not spared from the consequences of all this horrible, terrible governance that you have in that place. Nobody is spared. Nobody is immune. You are not. You know? So I do sometimes feel sorry for you too, but I feel great sorry for so many of you who also did what you thought was right to prevent all of this from happening. But here you are living inside the Tifnubus, Nigeria. Somebody told my friend, an Abrodian Ronuku living in London, right? And he told a friend of mine who is watching as well. When that one said, maybe you were celebrating 1.4 billion naira IMF loan. Now they won't go borrow over $27 billion. So if you match all of them together, sure you get. Like, what do you say to that now? The person said, now God chose Tifnumbu. I said, look at how many, how many people tried to stop him. That at a time, there was no money. People were buying Naira in Nigeria. Today, people are not buying Naira anymore. So they did everything to stop Tifnumbu. But look at it, is the president today. And that's like satisfactory enough. So those of you who are also coming together to complain about this Nigeria is because you are impatient. The guy lives in London, so he said you are impatient. The reform will take time. And the same set of Olori Brukus Abrodiana Shiris, right? The same set of people were defending Bokwari. Mind you, some of these Olori Brukus today are now saying, how many Northerners were criticizing Bokwari then? Even when there were Northerners criticizing Bokwari, now these Ronukus, or these Sagba foes, and Amode shares, the sewage dwellers, and Mashamfani, Mashuri the days, right? They were the ones who were defending Bokwari because their plan was that after Bokwari, it will be Tifnumbu. So if anything should happen to APC, Tifnumbu won't be president. So therefore, they must defend Bokwari. They defended Bokwari. They defended the destruction of Nigeria, right? They told everybody that PDP already destroyed Nigeria, that Bokwari's reform, right? Bokwari's reform was to fix Nigeria. By the time Bokwari was done, the same Olori Buruku Martian Fanis, right? They are now telling everybody that Bukwari destroyed Nigeria. Tifnubu inherited a destroyed Nigeria. So therefore, Tifnubu's reform will take another 80 years. If you like me, take another 80 years, right? When it should be one by one. Tomo tile tile ni o follow me a phone show, right? According to Konle, according to Konle, ma shofuni. Because you know why? There were those who did all they could to prevent all of this. But here you are. Everybody would have to live inside it. Political choice, democratic choice, when in fact, it is a democratic, what do you call that thing again? Democratic voodoo, sort of like voodooism. It's fake. It's not real. Fortunately. Now, not to sound more like, the faboos, the lies being propagated by Tinubu and his gang, it's limited to any certain part of Nigeria. It is for everybody. They brought a guy, they said his name is Okoye, right? Because Tinubu set up a Southeast Development Commission. They said this guy is a brilliant guy, but now they had to send him to go and tell the Igbos that Tinubu has a plan. Just the same way they sent Uzodinjo, Uzodimba to you. How many of you remember how many times Bukwari visited Imo State and what they told you about how Bukwari loved the Igbo so much? It's how that ended. All right. So now it is the job of one Okoye, brilliant chap, to tell you that as the head of the Southeast Development Commission, right? Yeah, at Tinubu's plan. It's not specific though, right? Because I was expecting him to say, oh, Tinubu says they should go and open the seaports in the eastern Nigeria, which is something you can say, like, that one makes sense, right? But if tomorrow you hear that Tinubu says that they should be using the eastern Nigeria seaports on a port, can you call port? I got any Google, right? Because under Bukwari, they tried the same thing. How many of you remember when they sent this batch of, is it called that thing again? A batch, it's like this boat to take some containers to the River Niger, to Niger, all these places. And to tell you that the Bukwari call, he loved the eastern part of Nigeria. He has opened up the sea there. How many of you remember? Because Otisha, in case in another few days, you begin to read that Tinubu says, Tinubu open up the eastern seaport to buy here.
104 days, given that we were inaugurated on February 11th this year. And in that time, this was really a briefing for me to give him an update on what we've done and what we've been able to achieve in the last 100 days. And it spent about 25 minutes of those really taking him through the strategic vision, what we intend to achieve as an organization, how we intend to mainstream the Renewed Hope agenda, and also the amount of stakeholder engagements that we've done, both with state actors and non-state actors. He was quite pleased to understand the level of work that we've gone through in that time, having a clear strategic direction, our vision, mission, our objectives, and then obviously in terms of building the right alliances and identifying the right partnerships for collaboration within the government, so other federal government agencies, the National Assembly, the SCDC committee, getting them to buy into the one unified vision for the organization. It was also an opportunity to let him understand and brief him, give him the briefing on how we're mainstreaming a lot of the work we're doing and how that alignment to the 8 priorities of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government and also the Renewed Hope Agenda Manifesto.
Right, it's good you have all of these structures in place, but what specifically would you say your own administration down there will be looking at bringing on the table for the people of the Southeast in terms of development, infrastructure and all of that?
No, fantastic. That's a good question. I think we have broadly around 7 to 8 major programs. One of them is the Southeast Security Intervention Program, where we'll be working closely with the host governments to see how we can support for a more secure Southeast. Because only when there's improved security, then you can start layering on development and investment and economic opportunities for them young people. The second is which Mr. President quite liked a lot, was the agro development program, where we aim to develop over 50,000 hectares of land over the next 4 years. The third is the Southeast Regional Economic and Industrialization Program. All the 5 states have aspirations for free trade zones and special economic zones. So his directive was for us to see how we can leverage the SCDC to support those special economic zones with infrastructure that opens it up, so that we start having centralized facilities that people can use to site new industries rather than building it in the villages. And the fourth and the fifth is the venture capital program, where we'll be building innovation hubs across universities, and then obviously doing accelerator programs and working with the private sector to raise venture capital funds to create pay stacks and flutter waves in different parts of the country. We have a housing and market development program, which I was very, very excited about, because there we just want to support and align with all the other housing development programs in government and see how we can bring that closer to the people. And lastly, obviously, is the sports development program, which got him very excited, because this is on, I think, page 72 or so of the Renewed Hope Manifesto. And for us, what we're trying to do there is to use sports as a cornerstone for empowerment and unification in the region. Because I recall when I listen to stories from my mom and my parents, they talk about in Nigeria where it didn't matter who was in your class. You didn't even, there was a Abdul, a Kemi, and a Kene, all within the same class. So for us, what we're trying to do with sports is to build a thriving sports economy there, working closely with the states, so that then becomes the center for sporting excellence, and you have people from different parts of the country coming into the region, going to the private schools and public school system, because there's a stronger opportunity for them to benefit from sports.
That's great. But now, very briefly, what did the president?
No, Mr. President, said he was excited with what we were doing, but also asked that we commence implementation like yesterday, and commence the rollout of our plans very quickly, and that he will, Mr. President is an avid reader, so he said all the documents that were shared, he will read, he will take my number, and he will reach out to us for clarifications on 1 or 2 matters. And there are some very interesting things that we also presented that he has given his verbal approval to, but I'll wait for obviously the office to formally announce those things to Nigerians. But I think the Southeasterners will be getting perhaps one of the big announcements that hadn't been done perhaps since the 60s, something that will catalyze the rail sector and the industrialization space within the Southeast, all approved by Mr. President, but he will be announcing that on his own time.
Thank you.
Nuisance Lele. Nuisance Lele.
Yeah, it's a nuisance. Okay, this is how we're going to do it, okay? Everything is said. Didn't they sound amazing? Like, for example, let's assume that they're actually doing something along that line. Won't you say, man, those are beautiful ideas? Oh, yeah? Then how would you feel if you now realize that everything he just said, they are all lies? I mean, me, I don't go try to want to use my style to say what I should say, right? Everything is said is just part of the old scheme they are running. It's all lies, everything. But if you think it is not a lie, according to him, because they've already started, according to him, he said what we are already doing. He went to go and brief Tifnumbuni. And Tifnubu is so happy to hear what they are doing in the last 100 days in the eastern part of Nigeria. He said they are investing in security intervention. Job for the boys, right? What does that even mean? Like they will give them money and they will to give money. So which means maybe They have bought a security gadget for security guys in the eastern part of Nigeria. I've not seen that anywhere. Okay. So he said that they are doing something about industrialization for the eastern part of Nigeria. Every state, they have their plan. They want free trade zone. They want this, they want that. Yeah. So put it together and make it sound like you actually have a plan. Industrialization for the eastern part of Nigeria. Because electricity. And he went on to talk about sport. They will go into schools. You know, they will go into schools, they will build facilities, and they will encourage youth and all of that nonsense. Southeast Development Commission. They also have the Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, South, North Central, 6 geopolitical zones. Job for the boys. You know? So when you hear them speak and say things and you're like, oh, that sounds good. Then a few years later, you ask them, how far with those things?